It's crazy to think that it's already been 2 months since the 2019 Overwatch League season finished, with the San Francisco Shock triumphing over the Vancouver Titans 4-0 in the Grand Finals. Since then, the off-season has certainly been very action-packed, with plenty of crazy moves occurring across the league. However, with things starting to wind down a bit, with most teams having confirmed most of their 2020 rosters, I thought today I'd put my passion for history to good use, and press the rewind button to look back at some of the best series of Overwatch we've seen in the league's short 2-year history. Therefore, the perfect place to start, I reckon, would be where it all began. Stage 1, Week 1, Day 1 of the inaugural season, on Thursday, January the 10th, 2018, and the series I'll be discussing today saw the Dallas Fuel face the Seoul Dynasty. In the build-up to the Overwatch League starting, whilst of course most recognised the strength of Korea, and consequently expected sides like the London Spitfire and New York Excelsior to be real challengers, there were two teams in particular that most fans and analysts had their eyes on for 2018, the Dallas Fuel and Seoul Dynasty. Almost unanimous opinion regarded the Dallas Fuel as the best Western Overwatch team heading into the inaugural season, and most of that was down to the team being primarily formed around Team Envy, known as Team Envious at the time. This Western team had in many ways broken traditional esports rules, by not only just challenging Korean dominance, but even triumphing over them with a historic Apex Season 1 championship in 2016. This wasn't to say that 2017 had been any less successful for them either, as Team Envious would also go on to win 2017's North American Contender Season 1, the last major Western event before the Overwatch League started. They did so in style without losing a single match, and only dropping 4 maps in total, with their 4-0 finals victory over FaZe Clan firmly cementing them as the best Western Overwatch team at the time. The Seoul Dynasty meanwhile were formed from Lunatic High, who without question were the most decorated Overwatch team up to that point. This team was, and obviously still is, the only team to have won Apex twice, with back-to-back wins in Season 2 and 3, with the finals of those tournaments arguably going down as some of the best matches of competitive Overwatch ever played. Heading into the inaugural season, they had been swapping places at the top of Korean Overwatch throughout 2017, with other powerhouses of the region such as Runaway, Kongdu Panthera, GC Busan, Element Mystic and X6 Gaming, but considering the star talent that filled their entire squad, many expected them to be challenging at the top of the Overwatch League. It seems pretty clear that whoever was in charge of organising the league's schedule purposely put these two sides against one another to main event the league's curtain raiser, with these two teams not only incredibly successful as I've just explained, but also extremely popular. Both would go undefeated during the preseason to just further add to the hype, and it was certainly needed as the 2 matches preceding this one certainly were a little disappointing, spawning the 0-4 watch memes as the 2 hometown LA squads picked up convincing victories, the LA Valiant defeating the San Francisco Shock 4-0, before the LA Gladiators picked up a win by the same scoreline against the Shanghai Dragons, marking the start of a very historic streak for the Dragons I might add. Looking at the rosters that both teams had, it was understandable why people thought so highly of these two teams, and were very excited to see them face off against one another. Dallas, as I mentioned, were built around their famous Envious core, including the likes of Seagull, Taimu, Effect, Mickey, Coco, Chips Hyan and Harry Hook, with the team also strengthened with further additions of Custer, who had impressed at main support previously with Arc 6, as well as the very popular streamer XQC, who really made a name for himself with his MVP World Cup performance for Team Canada, as well as also being on that same Arc 6 side. All in all, this rounded out a squad that on paper looked filled with star talent and veteran experience, as well as being incredibly marketable, making it understandable why most analysts and viewers saw them as the best Western team entering the Overwatch League. Seoul meanwhile were primarily constructed from a Lunatic High roster and filled with superstar names themselves. The squad initially included Guido, Zumba, Miro, Ryu Jae-hong, Toby, Zephyr, Munchkin, Fletter, Bunny and Esker, before going on to add Wakid from LW Red and Kuki from MVP Space. Whilst Esker would unfortunately leave the team just before the season started to play PUBG, this side on paper also looked formidable, with quality and past achievements a few other players entering the Overwatch League could match. Of course back then, the Overwatch League looked a lot different in game compared to how it does now. From a gameplay point of view, there was no such thing as 2-2 roll-log. Heroes like Brigitte, Wrecking Ball, Ashe, Baptiste and Sigma weren't in the game, and the dominant composition of the time was still Dive. It's hard to imagine, but Ghost wasn't even a pipe dream at this point. In terms of the Overwatch League structure, the season was still split into stages, but instead of only playing 28 matches like in 2019, 2018 saw each team play 40 matches, with 10 being played per stage. At the same time, matches did not start with a control map. Instead, the map order was Escort first, followed by Assault, then Control, and lastly Hybrid. This meant that this hyped up match wouldn't start on a control map like Idios. Rather, it was kicked off on the Escort map Junkertown. The Fuel starting lineup of Taimu, Mickey, Effect, Seagull, Custer and Harry Hook certainly piqued interest, as it included no recognisable main tank, with the team opting to run 3 recognised DPS players. The Dynasty on the other hand threw in no surprises, as the familiar tank and support duos of Miro, Zumba, Toby and Jae-hong predictably took to the stage, alongside a DPS pairing with Munchkin and Fletter. Early discussion revolved around why Dallas had made this lineup choice, but it became apparent soon enough. During the preseason, whilst Dive remained the most popular composition, it was noticeable that due to the unique design of Junkertown, many teams were finding greater success by running a pirate ship Bastion composition, often while only running a solo Mercy as support. Dallas adopted this early and found success, with Harry Hook mowing down Soul's defences on the Bastion to advance the payload through the first section, whilst their extra DPS player Taimu found himself on the Roadhog, with Mickey taking out temporary main tank responsibilities on Orisa. During the second point, Mickey would switch on to D.Va to better access the plentiful high ground available, and whilst the Dynasty would be able to stall their opponent's attack on a couple of occasions, a Harry Hook Bastion ultimate alongside a Mercy ult from Custer would see the fuel advance to the final section of the map with 3 minutes in the time bank. This would probably be a good time to remember what Mercy was like back in early 2018. This was a time when her res had just been changed to a single target ability from an ultimate, and even though it had a long cooldown, it would be an instant cast that would also be reset when her new ult Valkyrie was popped. This developed a meta where Mercy became increasingly essential, as it gave teams in theory an 8 vs 6 teamfight advantage due to the double res she could instantly provide, promoting a somewhat more aggressive attitude from players, as they knew their mistakes could be more easily corrected and less likely punished. I point this out here particularly, as early on the Dynasty were caught out by this because of their decision to run Lucio Anna instead, which allowed Dallas to keep up momentum, a mistake that Toby and Jaehong had also made on South Korea just a couple of months prior at the Overwatch World Cup. The final section was their fastest, and this was largely down to the efforts of Taimu, who had been popping off on Roadhog up to this point. He continued to land hook after hook, that not only earned him lots of kills, but also created a lot of space for effects to infiltrate the backline and come up with a high value Death Blossom on Reaper. Taimu would go even further though with a great whole hog that zoned a Jaehong Transcendence off the payload to keep up its momentum, which ultimately saw the fuel go on to complete the map with over a minute still left in the time bank. In reply, Soul's attack was much more of a roller coaster. In the first section we witnessed one of the early Fleta highlights on Widow that he would soon become increasingly known for, and even if it was outclassed shortly afterwards by this brilliant showing of Ana mechanics from Jaehong, saving both him and Toby from a riptire, the Dynasty struggled to get things going up against a stout pulled pork defensive setup of Dallas. They only just managed to make it through to the final pass of the map, but with only a minute and a half left, they knew they had a mountain to climb. Fleta tried his best on Widow, out-dueling effect on McCree in a 1v1, but in the end it was thanks to crucial kills and overtime from Taimu's Hulk and Seagull's Junkrat that stopped Soul from using their Death Blossom and Transcendence that had been at their disposal, consequently ending their push before the end of the map, and to the arena's delight, giving the Fuel a 1-0 lead in the series.
They don't have a res available right now. Finally using it. Okay, they got over to Jaehong.
We're into OT though.
Death Blossom up here for Munchkin's gonna get hooked in and he's gonna die before he can use his ult.
Wow, huge hook for Taimu right there. Miro goes down as well, and it looks like Dallas may be able to take this map right here, right now. They will. Dallas Fuel taking down Seoul Dynasty on Junkertown.
And we are going to have a good match though. We saw so many different strategies.
Map 2 would be the assault map Temple of Anubis, and whilst the Dynasty kept in the same lineup, Dallas made 2 changes with Chips Hyan coming in for Custer, whilst the greater focus was on the substitution of Seagull, who came out and was replaced by XQC, to the great delight of those watching. As they had at the end of Junkertown, Soul ran Mercy from the start on Anubis, but whilst their composition was vastly improved, this could not save them from terrible positioning on both point A and B. Effect did not hesitate to punish them for this on his Widowmaker, and powered the Fuel through to an incredibly fast map completion with over 6 minutes left in the time bank. The Dynasty certainly weren't as clean on their own attack, but behind Miro, Munchkin and Fleta they looked to be just as aggressive, and went on to complete the map themselves with just under 5 minutes left in their own time bank. And whilst both teams' relentless offense was exciting to watch, it must be said that the defensive displays were lacking at first. Both teams would not let up their assault, with Anubis throughout its time in the Overwatch League being known for multiple completions due to how effective a snowball can be, especially back in 2018 with the speed of dive compositions. For the Fuel it was noticeable that XQC and Effect were having the greatest impact on their attacks, due to the aggression being shown by the pair, while Soul were putting in a bit more of an all-round effort, even if Fleta was a player who certainly seemed to be increasingly imprinting his presence onto the map. This was demonstrated after both teams went on to complete the map again for a second time, with plenty of time still available for both, even if Dallas held a slight advantage in time. And now on his third attack, Fleta destroyed his opponent's point A defensive setup with Genji dash after Genji dash that saw him involved in 5 kills, and this early momentum once again ended in the Dynasty completing the map yet again. It was only at this point that the pressure finally told, with Soul managing to hold the Fuel for almost all of their remaining time at point A, before Effect came in clutch to save their attack in overtime. However, this only left them with 30 seconds on the clock, and although they valiantly contested point B for almost a minute, in the end the defensive spawn advantage proved too great, allowing Soul to hold on and clear point B, resulting in them winning the map 6-5 and levelling the series at 1-1. But to be honest, I'll let the conclusion speak for itself.
Dallas to position themselves on the point right now. Taimu fighting for his life, pushes back the Lucio for the moment. We're into OT again, but that's one tick already. Munchkin falls. Dallas looks like they may have the position to do this. This would be crazy if they can pull this off. They've got the numbers. They've got Jaehong down. Taimu low. They keep him up just in time. Zunba gonna get demeched in just a second. And Fleta doing what he can, which is not much, as he is a dead Reaper. And Miro, it's all on him and Toby right now. The Lunatic High Core, they need to save their team to win this map. OT getting low. They gotta stay on the point. Dallas cannot afford to do it. This may be it. I don't know, man. I think Soul may have the numbers.
XQC, can he buy the time with that primal rage?
Taimu falls. XQC backs away, and he can't get to the point. Seoul Dynasty will tie up this series. Wow, man.
Under this 2018 format, we now arrived at the control map, which would be Ilios, and whilst up to now the level of competition in this series have been brilliant, this map perhaps highlighted the overall strength advantage held by the Korean outfit when it came to the execution of Dive. The Dynasty were clinical on both Lighthouse and then well, locking down the control points at the start and applying pressure to the fuel through Munchkin's Tracer and Fleta on Pharah. Dallas attempted to deal with this through McCree and Junkrat before looking to wrestle control back with a pulled port comp, but at no point did they look comfortable and were barely able to win the point off Seoul thanks to their incredible ability to stall, an ability which we saw repeated from all the Korean teams at the beginning of 2018 when you would normally expect teams to back off and regroup. In probably the worst map of this series, the Dynasty dominated back-to-back rounds to win it 2-0 and thereby take a 2-1 lead in the series.
They only have XQC there now.
Hey, it matters to his feelings.
Oh,
goodbye.
More boops for the boop god.
Harry Hook.
Behind the bottom of the well.
Putting the well during Transcendence even. That one stings a bit. Toby going wild on this Lucio right now. Finds Chips as he flies by. There's another one. And another one! Mickey into the well, courtesy of Fleta, with some help from Toby. We'll give him some credit for that one. And that is it. Seoul Dynasty will take a 2-0 here on Ilios. Well, that was pretty dominant, wasn't it?
That was definitely.
This meant this series would come down to one final, all-important map, which would be the hybrid Numbani. Seoul knew a win or draw would seal a victory for them here, whereas only a win would keep the match alive for the fuel and take us to a Game 5. And like the last two maps, both teams remained unchanged. Early on, Dallas put together some nice plays to take the first point and progressed the payload a good distance through the second section. However, after the Dynasty reclaimed the initiative after a teamfight win, they brutally went about spawn camping their opposition, with Munchkin in particular ruining XQC's day with continued harassment on Tracer, as well as the odd fadeaway pulse bomb. At this point, it just felt like XQC, who overall was having a good day on the Winston, was getting bullied, as in one of their teamfight losses he was slept by Jaehong before having a Zumba Diva bomb thrown onto him in a rather unruly manner. Eventually they would reach the last section, but progress was slow, and it just looked like Seoul were in the ascendancy. Even when Taimu managed to get a pick onto Miro as time ran out, again the fuel looked to be running out of gas, with Jaehong making a crazy play that saw him kill Chips Hyan's Mercy before pulling off a trans. It looked certain that Dallas would be halted before the finish, with most of their members falling. But in one of the first C9s of the Overwatch League season, they somehow managed to sneak the payload to the finish in overtime, just from under the Dynasty's noses. This minor victory, however, would soon be forgotten, as even though Taimu brought out a Torb on defense, they did not have a counter for Fleta's Pharah that popped off initially with a great boop onto Mickey, leading the way to Seoul quickly capturing the first objective. Realising that they were losing the dive mirror, the Fuel took the decision to change to Rein Zarya, as they had been finding more success on tank-heavy comps. This decision proved to be a masterstroke, as they started to repel the Dynasty's pushes towards the end of the map. From what at first looked to be a solid Dynasty time bank, quickly burned away, and it wasn't until overtime that some Fleta picks started to push Seoul towards the finish. However, Effect, as he had all game, came up clutch once again, not only removing what would have been the map-sealing Riptire, but also picking up a further 2 kills, including a massive one onto Toby's Mercy. A map win looked to be in their grasp, but Dallas proved to be the creator of their own downfall, allowing the Dynasty too much space and unwittingly returning the favour by C9ing themselves as their opponents finished the map. This fantastic series could have, and at that point should have, gone to a 5th map, but the Fuel's mistake here would hit the final nail into their own coffin, as with only 1 minute available to them, they could not deal with Munchkin's Soldier on the high ground and Fleta's Pharah in the air, resulting in them failing to take the first point. To their credit, they impressively managed to hold on themselves, but this just resulted in a map draw, which consequently awarded the series win to Seoul, as the score stayed 2-1, making this ending slightly underwhelming, but perhaps a fitting end to this brilliant series.
Somehow, and now they're trying to take a low ground approach instead, going through the tunnel and trying to get on the point one more time. Harry already dead to Miro.
Oh, Fleta low gets the healing just in time. Mickey popped out of the mech. That is big. Seoul Dynasty looking very strong here so far on point A, and that may be it. OT ticking away already. And we need, yeah, okay, there's the healing now in Mickey. That was a close call.
It's all right, just go ahead, give Chips that faster Valkyrie right now as the solo hero on this team, and Harry Hook is going to find J-Hong in a hallway.
Yeah, attack denied already. And we're nearly out of time here. Down 2-0, we're into OT.
Can Mickey get this ultimate up in time? Yes, he's going to get that self-destruct.
Pulse Bomb. Self-destruct to use. Mickey should get the mech back again. There's OT, and so our last map will end in a draw, which means that Seoul Dynasty, as we said earlier, has taken this series.
All in all, this series gave us an early showcase of quality Overwatch, but although at times sloppy, was certainly entertaining, as proven by the peak audience of 437,000 viewers for just this match alone. For many it was the first time they'd seen some of the top players from around the world go up against one another, and it certainly was a brilliant advert for the Overwatch League to use to promote this new league that was still trying to find its feet. Looking back, the things that I immediately take note of, aside from the obvious changes to the patch and format, was just how happy the players looked and seemed to be enjoying themselves, both in victory as well as defeat. And honestly, watching it back in its entirety, I have to say that it was a breath of fresh air after the heavy shield metas that have plagued the league of late. Interestingly as well, an argument can be made that in many ways this was the Overwatch League peak for both of these teams, as their respective disappointing seasons after this took away a lot of the prestige that both of these teams held at the time of this match, and certainly deeper analysis will already show you worrying signs in this series, such as the over-reliance on effects for Dallas and the over-aggression of Miro on the side of Seoul. That said, I profoundly enjoyed covering what I would describe as the grand opening series of the Overwatch League, and I'd like to thank you for watching. If you did enjoy, please let me know which other series you'd like me to take a look at, and if you did, please like, subscribe, and follow me on Twitter for this continuing competitive Overwatch coverage and content, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day.